When I left, I thought I was doing the right thing, for him and for me. My name is Julia, and this story isn't a confession. It's a plea for understanding, for forgiveness, for a chance to make things right. Because the truth is, leaving him was the worst decision of my life. And coming back? Well, that was the hardest. It all started with a mistake. One moment of weakness that spiraled into a nightmare. I had been with Aaron for 6 years, and for most of those years, he was everything to me. Kind, patient, devoted. But somewhere along the way, I lost myself. Our love, once fiery and passionate, had settled into something quieter, something steadier, and I mistook that steadiness for dullness. I craved excitement, not realizing the treasure I already had. And then there was him, Marcus. Charismatic, thrilling, and so very dangerous. He was the storm to Aaron's calm, the spark to my slow-burning flame. It wasn't love, not really. It was an escape, a reckless fling that burned bright and fast, leaving nothing but ash in its wake. But by the time I realized the depth of my mistake, it was too late. Aaron found out. He didn't yell. He didn't demand answers. He simply looked at me, his eyes filled with hurt and betrayal, and said, "Why?" That one word broke me in ways I hadn't thought possible. But instead of fighting for us, I ran. I packed my bags, left a tear-stained note on the kitchen counter, and walked out the door. I convinced myself it was for the best, that he'd be better off without me. For years, I tried to move on. Marcus was a fleeting chapter, a mistake I quickly closed. Life without Aaron was emptier than I could have imagined. But I kept going, forcing myself to believe that I'd made the right choice. Until I met someone new. Ethan. He was sweet and supportive, and for a while, I thought I could build a life with him. But life has a way of complicating things. Ethan and I had a son, Oliver. My sweet boy, my everything. But even as I held him in my arms, I couldn't shake the memories of Aaron, his voice, his touch, his unwavering love. Ethan and I grew apart, the cracks in our relationship widening until there was nothing left to hold us together. And so, I found myself alone again, a single mother, carrying the weight of my choices. And that's when it hit me. I couldn't keep running from my past. I couldn't keep pretending that Aaron didn't still own a piece of my heart. So, I made the decision to return, to face him, to explain, to ask for something I had no right to ask for, a second chance. The drive to Aaron's house was nerve-wracking. I'd rehearsed what I would say 1,000 times, but nothing could prepare me for the moment I saw him again. He opened the door, and for a second, time stood still. He looked older, a little wearier, but still the same Aaron I'd loved all those years ago. "Julia," he said, his voice a mix of surprise and caution. "What are you doing here?" I hesitated, clutching Oliver's hand tightly. "I need to talk to you," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's important." He stepped aside, allowing us in. The familiarity of the house hit me like a wave. The same cozy furniture, the same faint scent of cedar and vanilla. It was like stepping back in time, except everything had changed. I sat on the edge of the couch, my heart pounding. Oliver clung to me, his wide eyes taking in the unfamiliar surroundings. Aaron sat across from us, his expression unreadable. "This is Oliver," I began, my voice shaking. "He's my son." Aaron's eyes flicked to Oliver, then back to me. "And his father?" he asked, his tone carefully neutral. "Not in the picture," I admitted. "It didn't work out." Silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. I took a deep breath, summoning the courage to say what I needed to say. "Aaron, I made a mistake. Leaving you, it was the worst decision of my life. I've spent years regretting it, wishing I could take it back. And now, I'm here, hoping," my voice broke, "hoping you can find it in your heart to forgive me." He didn't respond right away. Instead, he studied me, his gaze piercing. "Why now?" he finally asked. "Why come back after all this time?" "Because I still love you," I admitted, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. "I never stopped, and I know I don't deserve it, but I want another chance. For me. For Oliver." Aaron leaned back, his expression guarded. "You hurt me, Julia. More than I ever thought possible. I don't know if I can go through that again." Tears welled in my eyes. "I know I hurt you, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you if you let me. Please, Aaron, just give me a chance to prove that I'm not the same person who walked out that door." For a long moment, he didn't say anything. Then, to my surprise, he turned his attention to Oliver. "Do you like cookies, kiddo?" he asked, a small smile breaking through his stoic facade. Oliver nodded shyly. Aaron stood, heading to the kitchen. When he returned, he was holding a plate of chocolate chip cookies. He handed one to Oliver, who beamed with delight. "You're good with kids," I said softly, watching the interaction. "I always wanted them," he replied, his voice tinged with sadness. "With you." My heart ached at his words. "I'm sorry," I said again, the weight of my actions crashing down on me. Over the next few weeks, Aaron and I talked. We shared our pain, our regrets, our hopes. It wasn't easy. The wounds I'd inflicted ran deep, and trust wasn't something that could be rebuilt overnight. But slowly, cautiously, we began to find our way back to each other. Aaron was hesitant about Oliver at first, unsure of how he fit into the equation. But over time, they formed a bond that melted my heart. Watching them together, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could be a family. But life, as I'd learned, is rarely that simple. One evening, as we were sitting together on the couch, Aaron turned to me, his expression serious. "Julia, I need to know something," he said. "If we do this, if we try again, are you sure? No more running, no more doubts, because I can't survive losing you again." I took his hand, looking him in the eyes. "I'm sure," I said, my voice steady. "This time, I'm here to stay." It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. And for the first time in years, I felt whole again. Because sometimes love isn't about never making mistakes. It's about finding your way back, even when the path is hard. And this time, I was determined to hold on to what mattered most.